Hello and welcome into Views from the Sideline. Today it is August 14th, 2018. On today's themed episode of Views from the Sideline, the crew breaks down our favorite teams of all time, including Detroit Pistons. Let's jump right into it. Well, welcome back to the show. Views from the Sideline. Another week, another theme episode, but this week, the better Tysick has left us. Jordan Tysick, not with us. It's a sad day. We forgot to leave a jersey on his chair. Hopefully he'll be back soon, but
Chris muting me.
I wanted to keep Joey muted.
Good start. That's a strong start.
Just so I could get my piece on Jordan, so Joey didn't have to,
He went up north for a little vacation and getting ready to go back to school. So
Doesn't mean you missed the show.
He'll be back
I mean, you do
for a
what you-
very special show. Don't know what show that will be, but it will be special.
It'll be the show when the Pistons win the championship
Yes.
next year.
So don't have to focus on preseason football. We're back.
Let's
I'm
let's
happy.
focus on some preseason football.
Back
You
to
know
some
what?
basketball.
Let's call a quick audible here. Let's talk some football.
You guys watch Hard Knocks? Some of them that Cleveland
I actually
Browns,
did watch
Baker
Hard-
Mayfield.
No,
I did watch episode 1. I'm not even joking.
You gotta
I did
watch
it.
Hard
I don't
Knocks,
care about
man.
Baker Mayfield. Give me Tyrod
No.
Taylor,
Baker
starting
outplayed-
quarterback.
Nah, Baker
starting
outplayed
quarterback.
him, man. Baker outplayed
What you
him.
need to talk about is Jarvis Landry.
I was
That
just
man
gonna say that.
is an absolute monster.
You mean Josh
He's
Gordon?
ridiculous.
No,
Josh
Jarvis
Gordon is an
Landry, man.
absolute
When
No,
Josh
no, no.
Gordon is on the field,
Have you guys seen
He can
pictures
be
of
a
that guy
monster.
lately?
No, Jarvis.
Holy
I don't care what he
moly.
looks like. Stay off the weed, in the
Hey,
words of Stephen A.
I
Smith.
wish we had that ready to go. I
He
should
should be
that.
ready to go.
All right, so this is what we're going to do. The last couple weeks, we've had themed shows as we kind of build up before we get into our preseason kind of previews for the NBA for the 2018-19 season. Today, it is our top 5 favorite teams of all time. So, yes, it can be the Lakers, but it's got to be like the 09-10 Lakers, or if you're
Ew.
crazy, the 16-17 Lakers.
Ew.
But that's how we're going to pick our teams. We're kind of doing the same format as weeks past. Joey will start off, then we'll go Malik, then myself, and we'll kind of go around about on there. I want to start with an honorable mention, though. Before we get into our top 5, start with the team that just missed the cut for you, just outside that top 5. I'm going to start with you, Joey. Who's your
Still gonna
honorable?
start with me?
I just previewed the people and
All
said
right.
we're starting with Joey.
Let's see. Who do I want to
Your honorable mention.
All right. There's a lot of better teams, but I'm going to use my honorable mention to mention the 2010-2011 Orlando Magic.
This is the
Who's on this team? The 10-11 Magic.
Let Joey
So-
explain this.
So
to you.
2 years after
Vince
the
Carter on
Magic
that team?
failed in the NBA Finals, the 2010-2011 Magic had my dream team, basically, of Gilbert Arenas, Vince Carter,
Oh, God.
Chris Duhon, Dwight Howard, Rashard
Did you
Lewis.
say Chris Duhon was on your dream team?
Hey,
That deserves that.
Duhon is a 2K elite.
He's a Duke elite. Once he got past that,
Rashard
Yeah.
Lewis, Ryan Anderson, JJ Redick, Jason Richardson, and Jason Williams.
I solely think
Michael Petras wasn't on that team.
No, he was gone
Okay.
at that
he was
point.
with Boston, I think.
But the only reason the main reason this team
Gilbert
is just
Arenas.
not that great. But the reason that this team was pushed far down my list, and even it's lower than my other honorable mentions. I just wanted to bring this one up. Is
I wanted your number 6.
they lose points for Hito Turkoglu
They lose points for Hito.
Why?
and Jameer Nelson because I just didn't like either one of those guys.
I loved Hito. Hito was one of
Yeah.
the main reasons I liked the
Nah.
Magic back then.
No.
Hito and Rashard were.
Gilbert Arenas
Nice,
was
man.
terrible with that.
the
team.
positives with
You
this
like
team.
that, Gilbert?
The positives of this team are they have some of my favorite players all on the same team, and they're a great.
What number
2K
did Gilbert
team.
wear? 9. He was Agent 9. He wasn't Agent 0
I don't know
anymore.
what
Yeah, he was
was.
wearing number 9 that year. Yeah.
He did okay that year, honestly.
Eh.
No, he didn't.
it was just a fun team.
It wasn't a fun team. I don't even know where they ended the standings at. It was just a fun team for you to use in 2K.
did they?
Exactly.
Did they win over 50 games?
That was my point.
All right,
No.
Okay.
Are you sure? Do you know off the top of your head?
No, I think they have. I think they managed to get 40 wins.
40?
Well, not
They
exactly.
managed-
Like
this is a
in
six-
the
this-
40s.
They managed.
And this is Joey's sixth favorite team of all time.
No, not necessarily.
No, it's necessarily. I said, give me your sixth, and that's what you gave me.
Well,
Possibly in the top 10.
No.
I just wanted to
I'm
mention
sorry,
that. I just
Joe.
wanted to mention that team
Wow.
because that team is like one of those teams that's way out there.
it's a great start, ladies and
So-
gentlemen.
I know we have-
2010 Orlando Magic.
I know we haven't had the Tyson take in a long time, but that qualifies right there. I mean,
That's what I'm here
It's
for.
a favorite.
That's what I'm here
It's a
for.
favorite.
holy smokes! All right, Malik, let's
All right.
switch gears here.
Yeah,
Give me
let's see what
something
you guys got. Let's see what you guys got.
Anything is better than
My
that.
honorable mention is a higher caliber than that team. I'll say that.
Well, I can assume that.
The 97-98 Los Angeles Lakers.
I like that team
The
a
young
lot
Lakers
better.
that weren't there yet, but this team finished 61-21 in the Western Conference. They finished second in their division that year. You have Shaq coming off of Orlando, who he hadn't blown up yet.
Yeah,
He was still
skinny.
he was
Shaq.
still running the floor and jumping out of the gym. He was extremely excited.
They had Eddie Jones on that team,
You
right?
had young Eddie Jones
Oh,
who was
man.
flying, doing all kinds of acrobatic finger rolls and stuff. You have Froby, who was just bodying people, just becoming the superstar. You have young Derek Fisher, who was coming into the leadership role that he had. You had young Nick Van Exel, who was willing to
Yeah,
deal.
Nick Van Exel, that's a guy right there.
This is a team that was looked at as a young Showtime. The way Nick Van Exel will come down,
Yeah.
no look behind the back,
to Eddie.
Kobe for a dunker, throw an alley oop to Shaq. Young Robert Horry. I mean, this team was
That's a
young
really
and
good
young
pick.
and exciting. 61 wins. They hadn't gotten over the hump yet, but that 97 team,
61 wins for a team not getting over the
Exactly.
hump is pretty good too.
when
I
young
mean,
Shaq and young Kobe, you can get 61.
Eddie was
wins.
young. I mean, Nick Van Exel, I think, was a little bit older at that time, but still, you had tons of players that would just get people in their seats regardless of wins or losses. People wanted to see Nick Van Exel. People wanted to see Eddie.
That
People
team
wanted to see
reminded
Kobe and
people of
Shaq.
Showtime.
Exactly.
And John Barry was on that team, Joey. I had to give you that one.
All right, I'll give you that.
Number
John
20 was
Barry
on
and
that
Froby. Okay, there we go.
team.
That's
That was a
all
really
duo,
good pick.
duo.
That's all right.
Now, my honorable mention,
Also a great 2K team.
to this day, a great 2K team with all the old school teams they have. But my honorable mention team, I know, Joe, especially with how much hate I just threw at Joey, I'm probably getting that right back right now.
Oh man. What
My honorable mention, the 2015-16 Detroit Pistons,
the playoff team?
the playoff team.
Well,
I
I
mean,
can't be mad
now
at you
hear,
for that
hear,
one.
hear-
I really
hear me
can't.
out here. Hear me out here. First Pistons team to break the playoff drought since 08-09, when
that's why.
really that team shouldn't have even made the playoffs, that 08-09 team. I mean, Allen didn't even play in the playoffs. I mean, yeah, they were.
I thought he played the first round.
No, he
They
didn't
still
even
got
play.
him out.
Yeah, they got swept too. Yeah, they got swept by Cleveland, but that was the eventual champs.
It looks like Joey's thinking about
That
it.
was wait, that was the eventual champions.
He has a lot on his mind.
The eventual champions.
Yeah, I guess if you go with that logic.
But every game was competitive. They could have won any of those except for maybe game 2 until the fourth quarter. Andre had like 3 half-court shots that year, guys. I mean, that was entertainment in itself.
The reasoning.
The-
It was a fun year.
It was. That's what I'm saying. It's a
Half-court
fun
shots.
year. And then Reggie was a borderline all-star, and that's one of
I
my
can't lie
favorite
about
point guards
that.
of all time. He was so
I enjoyed Reggie.
he was
Jackson
fun to
that year.
watch
He was
that
really
year.
Good. He was really good. That
So for me, being such a huge Pistons fan, and to stick through the Sad Boys era as long as I have the whole way through, to see them go to the playoffs, yes, they got swept. Yes, there wasn't success there, but at least they made the playoffs, made it entertaining. I watched that young core grow up a little bit.
Are you trying to say that like the Sad Boys era is over? Because it's not. It's still here. Even with that team, it was.
But that was
I think
the
the Sad
glim-
Boys
that,
over. It's not.
It's not as
If you
bad
go
as
see the Pistons play right now, you won't be in a horrible mood.
and they just missed the
watching them
playoffs
play.
both. Yeah, they're I mean, back to back like 39,
Come
40
on.
win teams. It's not good, but the Sad Boy era, that's
You had-
when you
there
have
was nothing to go
25 to
watch.
30 wins every year.
Yeah.
But that's why they're my honorable mention. Joe, give me the heat.
They don't make my top 10 favorite Pistons teams.
Wow, that's
It's because he's a
That's
Reggie
tough.
hater.
And
that's really tough.
and-
They don't even make the top 10.
and Reggie threw away that playoff series.
Stop it.
As much as you guys give him credit for playing well,
All
his
you remember,
IQ at the end of those games.
all you remember is him
was-
shooting that
I
three
think,
at the end.
I
trying
think,
to draw
I
the
think the
foul.
last game was the one that really stuck out to me. The rest of the games, he didn't play that.
Yeah, I
bad.
didn't. That's like I agree with Malik. Yeah,
That
he
last
had-
game was bad.
and
That was bad.
oh, to put this on top of it, KCP's dunk over LeBron James. in the stands that game,
That was pretty good.
was a pretty exciting moment. That was
That
the
was pretty
loudest.
good.
That was the loudest I've heard the Palace of Auburn Hills since the going to work days.
A lot of people will not remember that they got swept, but they were within like 5 points every game. There was no blowout. The Pistons were in it every single game. And that series was what gave me real hope in Stanley Johnson.
Yeah, that was
because
fun.
he
Yeah,
played
Stanley
really
John,
good in that
Stanley
playoff
John at
series.
LeBron too during that series was also just so fun to watch. And whenever Stanley touched the ball, he would get such loud cheers. Whenever LeBron touched the ball, it was always booing. It was just such a fun atmosphere. And for myself to be a part of a playoff team for the first time in 8 years, it was fun.
Yeah.
So that's why they have a special place in my heart.
J.R. Smith hit some crazy shots in that.
They were
series.
unreal that series. That may have been the best
Yeah.
best
It
playoff
was-
series they played.
It was insane.
JR and Kyrie were absolutely insane. Well, let's get into the top 5 now. Joey, please give me something better than the 11-12 Orlando Magic.
All right, don't worry.
I'm trusting that he has something.
from here
better.
on
If
out,
it's
it's
something
good.
else, like along that lines, we might cut him out, have him just work the camera.
We're going back to a time. Chris, what year were you born?
95.
Perfect. We're going with the 95-96 Seattle Supersonics.
That's
I
a
like
good
it.
team.
I like it.
Gary Payton.
Yep.
Which I don't know if I'm the biggest fan of Gary Payton, so that's part of why they're at number 5. And obviously, I didn't really get to see this team. Sean Kemp, my favorite player on this team, Detlef Schrempf. I first learned of him playing on my N64, playing Kobe Bryant's NBA courtside. And
Wow, that's a game right there.
Shouts out to that game.
Yeah.
he was such a good three-point shooter that I kind of fell in love with it. And going back and seeing this team, they went to the NBA Finals, ended up losing to the Bulls.
Unfortunately, they had to go against that machine.
Yeah, back when Michael Jordan was getting ramped up.
Yeah.
Nate McMillan was also on this team, and Hersey Hawkins. So solid squad, very athletic. They played hard-nosed basketball with Gary and Kemp with a little bit of shooting, so they were fun to watch, fun to see some highlights on, and I just like the Supersonics as a franchise. I hope they come back.
And I was gonna say too, I don't know much about that team in general, but I know about the highlights. I know about Gary. I know about Sean. I know about all that. Detlef Schrempf highlight reel plays. And like you said, it would be cool to see a basketball team back in Seattle. There will actually be a basketball game played. I've said it before here at Key Arena this upcoming preseason in the NBA. Kevin Durant's back in Seattle. So that'll be fun to see actual basketball being played in that city, which deserves a team. And I think we'll see it within the next 5 to 10 years. I think we'll have some expansion, especially with all the money being flooded into the NBA.
Yep.
I definitely can see 2 expansion teams coming the
Yeah.
NBA's way.
And they also had Sam Perkins, who was a
Oh yeah,
like a
Sam.
stretch-
I was
yeah,
about to
yeah.
say
5.
that, yeah.
way before his time.
Deep,
And
really unique mix of old and young players.
right. So it was kind of an interesting dynamic of a team. So that's why they're number 5.
You got to give love to the glove, though. Gary
Yeah.
Payton was what put that.
Yeah, I mean
held
he
that
was
team
he was
together.
good. I just, for some reason I was just never a fan.
Top 3 best
Okay.
trash talker of all time.
Oh, yeah. Nonstop talking.
Gary, Larry.
Probably one of the most annoying
Reggie?
NBA players ever. I'm sure if you ask players of the 90s.
If you would you agree with Gary Payton, Larry Bird, and Reggie Miller as like top 3 greatest trash talkers of all time?
I would say Michael Jordan over
They'd be
Reggie.
in
I
there.
think.
Really?
Really.
Yeah.
I mean, they even had a whole documentary
Or you
almost on
put-
Reggie's trash talk.
Or you put KG in there too. I don't know. That's
KG's
tough.
just over the
I think
line. I think KG's
I think
offensive.
KG's talk is more for motivation for herself.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
If you talk to him, he'd retaliate. But
Yeah,
he's screaming stuff to his teammates.
Or
He's
Rashid.
yelling at himself.
I don't think he's better than Reggie or
Nah, Rashid.
Gary.
Rashid is really good, but he's not one of the
He was
greatest.
more trash talking the
talkers.
refs opposed to the players. Malik, number 5. Who starts off your list?
My number 5 is a team that at the time I didn't care about them at all, but they earned my respect once they won a championship, and the star player of their team just played on a different level
LeBron
in
James.
those NBA finals. Not at all. But they went against LeBron James, the 2010-2011 Dallas
Yes.
Mavericks.
Yeah, they almost made my list too.
Listen,
Let's
that
go.
team, even like going through the Western Conference Finals, they were okay to me. I didn't see them beating Miami. I don't think anybody saw them beating Miami, but
I was
the way Jason Kidd ran that team, the way all those veterans played together, Sean Marion was playing fantastic basketball. He's one of the most underrated players to ever play. You have Jason Terry hitting down jumpers. You have
Josh
Tyson,
Howard.
You have I don't think Josh Howard was on that team.
Yeah, he was.
No. I think he was already off the team.
Yeah,
at
he
that
was
point.
No, he was.
He was in
'Cause
Utah.
because he was on the 06-07 team.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
but
then he
he
had
was-
all those issues, and he got out
After
of the
that
league.
one All-Star year, he left like a year after that. Yeah, he
I'm looking this up.
just disappeared. Yeah.
I'm looking this up. All right,
Weird
you guys
story
keep
with
going.
Josh
I'm
Howard.
All right.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have Tyson Chandler at center, the defensive anchor.
Who they traded for mid-season.
Exactly. And then, come on, man. Dirk Nowitzki, at least once a month, I go back and watch how he played, not only in those finals, but in those playoffs. He had won an MVP before, but it seemed like he was just on a completely different level. The rainbow threes,
Yeah, he was
he hit
unconscious in the finals.
the fadeaway jumper is his patent thing, but how easy the game came to him in that series. And going against Chris Bosh and guys that were more athletic than him, it's like his slowed down game was too much for them. And like the way he thought, his way of processing the game was just too much for them. And Dirk he ripped apart that team.
You
piece
just
by
can't
piece.
guard him either.
Exactly.
He averaged about almost 28 points a game in that series, and almost single-handedly just carried the Mavericks.
Yeah, that team full of veterans.
Like Peja Stojakovic,
Yeah.
Jason Terry, Deshaun Stevenson too.
Jason Terry was actually huge in that series as well.
I respect
had a
them.
lot of
Tyson
threes.
Chandler did he win Defensive Player that year? He might have.
He won it with New York.
Was it New York he won it
Yeah.
with? That's crazy.
He won it there.
Yeah, but he was a Defensive Player of the Year candidate in Dallas.
And because of their, nobody thought at like the age of the Mavericks, old Jason Kidd, older Dirk, older Jason Terry, nobody thought they had a single chance against the juggernaut
Heatles.
that was the Miami Heat that year. But
I didn't think so.
the way they were coached, the way they played, they earned my respect completely, and they're my number 5 because of that.
Well, my number 5 is the 2008-2009 Denver Nuggets.
I know a lot of people that love that team.
Okay.
I mean, this was the season.
That's Carmelo and AI, is it?
No,
Or is
Carmelo and
Carmelo
Chauncey.
Oh,
This was the
okay.
season Chauncey was
Okay.
traded.
AI was gone.
He still made the All-Star game in the Western Conference.
Was that the one year that they had Iggy? Or is this like the year after?
No,
Iggy,
year
Iggy was
after.
2013.
No,
2013.
20, yeah,
That's
yeah,
when
yeah,
Iggy
Oh,
was
it was
there.
later.
Yeah,
Oh, because
it
it was
was
one
later.
year before he goes to Warriors.
Yep.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, they were led by Billups and Melo. That year, Melo was still entrenched in Denver's plans and had no plans on leaving New York, or so far the public didn't see that. They lost to the Lakers, the 67-15 Lakers, who eventually became the NBA champions, led by Kobe, maybe the most dominant Kobe Bryant we've ever seen. And Chauncey was still, it was fun to see Chauncey still lead a team to the conference finals when the Pistons just plummeted after that trade. And it was that, I remember they were talking about the streak that Chauncey had. What was it? It was like he had 9 straight trips to the or to the conference finals now, including that one. And
That's something people don't talk about a lot.
That's crazy.
That's very impressive.
And all those teams, that he wasn't like hitching a ride on someone else's team.
He was the leader.
He
of
was the
those
leader
teams,
of all
yeah.
those teams.
Yeah, he immediately made an impact on that Nuggets team. That was pretty young at the time.
And with the Pistons being out by that time, I was a full-on bandwagon Denver Nuggets team that year. I wanted them to reach a championship. I was going to root for Chauncey as much as I could. So yeah, Denver Nuggets, my number 5.
Birdman and JR were on that team, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did they have Linus Kleza on that team?
I couldn't tell you off the top of my
That
head.
guy was nasty for like
Come on,
2
Chris,
years.
you got to be prepared with the
But
stats and the rosters.
I'm pretty sure Linus has been with the Denver, like he was with the Denver Nuggets the longest amount of time in his career. I'll look it up.
He was with the Raptors for a little while,
Yeah, he was.
and then
All
he
right.
disappeared.
Joey.
All right, so my number 4, we already talked about it. 2010-2011 Mavericks.
Oh, I mean, don't get me wrong,
Nice.
it's a good pick, but
Nice.
we just talked about it.
I know. I had
Let Joey get his
like
thoughts out. I'm sure they're
my
different
my
ones
biggest
than
thoughts
me.
about this team. Obviously, Dirk, one of my favorite players.
Lennox
of all
Kleza
time.
was on that team.
Yes, there we go. Obviously, Dirk being one of my favorite players of all time. Obviously, was rooting for him in the finals. I hated the Heat.
Yeah, I know. You're a LeBron hater.
Absolutely hated the Heat.
It's weird because we feel completely different. Like I said, once LeBron left Cleveland, I was fine with
Yeah,
him.
that's what I'm saying.
Once he went to Miami, I was fine with him. I didn't hate him at the time.
I'm all for LeBron James not playing in Cleveland. Like, I am the biggest LeBron supporter.
That doesn't make any sense to me because Cleveland is trash before
makes,
LeBron
no, it makes
and after
Cleveland, yeah,
LeBron.
it makes Cleveland trash, and that's what I love about it.
But Cleveland is trash, so we never had to worry about him until LeBron. So LeBron is the factor. So
Yeah, that's why I root
hated
for LeBron when he
LeBron.
leaves Cleveland.
that doesn't make any sense.
I hope we don't have any Cleveland listeners.
Because Cleveland was never
Any fans from
Cleveland was never ever a problem.
But
Ever.
they were a problem when LeBron was there. So that's why I didn't care for LeBron when he was in Cleveland.
But
when he left,
didn't
cool,
matter.
LeBron, do you?
But he's still in the East.
He's not in the East anymore, but
No, he was, is what I'm
the Pistons
saying.
were terrible. I had no expectations.
Pretty much same.
Like, once he
So-
left Cleveland for Miami, that was the smack dab middle of the Sad Boys era. We were led by Brandon Knight, one of the GOATs. Charlie
Please,
Villanueva,
Okay, listen.
Ben Gordon. Like, these are guys that are going to have jerseys retired for the Sad Boys era.
Can you? Okay, Joe, get back to what you.
I
said
don't-
Brandon Knight was a goat. You
I don't know how
just go
he-
back
It
to
was
the
a
Mavericks.
joke. It was a joke.
This team, I hated the Heat, and I had confidence in the Mavs. I'll be honest. I was one of those guys that felt like they had a chance because this was early in the Heat. They hadn't really gotten their chemistry all the way up, hadn't figured everything out, I didn't think. So I knew there was a chance. And holy crap, I saw Dirk just explode in these finals.
You're a
And
big Dirk guy, too. Like, isn't
Right.
Dirk one of your favorite players of all time?
Number 2.
Yeah. There you
And
go.
I mean, Sean Marion is like a perfect guard to guard a young, still somewhat younger LeBron.
Yep.
Kind of before LeBron fully matured, I would say. And
Well, it was well before he fully matured.
Right.
Because the egg he laid in those finals.
Jason Kidd,
That's historic bad.
Jason Kidd just having that veteran leadership at the time, whereas the Heat were trying to figure out who their leader was of the team necessarily. Was it Wade? Was it LeBron? And they didn't really have a whole lot going. So, and Tyson Chandler in the middle is crazy because Dwayne Wade wants to get to the basket. LeBron wants to get to the basket. Tyson Chandler is going to be there to stop them somewhat. You can't stop those two. And then Dirk is like impossible to guard. He's very similar to Chris Bosh, but he's got even more post moves and even harder to block. Impossible almost. So they're my number 4 on the list.
Was Mario Chalmers the point guard for
Yeah.
that Heat team?
Yeah.
And Joel Anthony was the center for that
Big
team.
Joe, baby. Yeah, he was.
Okay,
Yeah.
Tyson Chandler versus Joel and Jason Kidd versus Mario. That's all I'm going to say.
Right.
That right there alone, people should have been wary. But
And the bench was depleted at best for Miami going against Dallas, who actually had a pretty decent bench group. I mean, I think, was Peja starting or coming off the bench? He may have been
He
starting.
was way off the. No, he's off the bench.
Was he off the bench?
He was deep in their rotation. He didn't play a whole lot at all,
It was just namesake.
pretty much.
He's like, yeah.
They
All
also
right.
had a young JJ Barea
they did.
who was pretty good at the time.
And then-
Rodrigue Bobois wasn't on that team, was
Yeah,
he?
he was.
He was?
Yeah, but he didn't play.
Rodrigue has a ring.
he might have
That's
been.
crazy.
He
Wow.
seems like he's still young, but he's like 31, 32 years old. It's crazy. All right, Malik, number 4.
My number 4, I don't know if this is going to be controversial, but
Probably.
I watched every game this team played on ESPN a few years
I
ago.
think I know what he's going to
Few
say.
years.
And
Okay.
the unanimous MVP season this man had, the 15-16, 73-9 Warriors are my number 4.
The 15-16, so the 73 and 9?
Yes. I mean,
That's interesting to me because to me, that team doesn't get the nod because they lost to Cleveland. That's
yes.
a huge thing for me,
A lot of people still make the 3-1 jokes. A lot of people,
as they should.
Yeah, a lot of people still make those jokes.
They would still make
I
those
don't-
jokes if
Yeah,
they didn't win 73 games. They won 73 games. We're talking
That's-
about
that's
they're
what
the
made
greatest
it-
team
that's
of
what
all
made it-
time.
They didn't say they were the greatest team of all time.
But people were saying
Yeah,
they're the
people were
greatest
saying
team
it.
of all
Mhm.
time. And to
3,
compare
1, 31. The Falcons
We're
blew a
doing-
31-point lead.
Anyways,
Yes.
go Malik. What were you
But-
saying?
When I watched this team this year, every time they were on TV, it was like watching a new brand of basketball every time you watched
And everybody
them.
wanted to see when they would lose. Like I remember,
Exactly.
what were they? Didn't they start the season like 20 something and 0?
I can't even remember how
I
they
want to
started.
actually. I'm gonna look that up.
But it's like they played almost like the Spurs, how well they moved the ball and how well their offense moved, but they moved at an even faster pace. And then you add in Stephen Curry, who I haven't seen many players playing at a level that high in a regular season in my life. I mean, he was 90, 50, 40, which is unbelievable from that point. Then you have Klay Thompson, who was
Well, that was his back-to-back year. He also did 90, 50, 40, and 14, 15,
Yeah.
too.
And then
Was it unanimous in 15, 16 or 14, 15?
it was 15, 16.
Okay.
Yeah, because the year before I thought James Harden should have won, but that unanimous year, I thought he deserved it. Klay Thompson also averaging 22 points per game. He shot over 40% from three that year. You have Draymond still coming to his own, becoming probably the most important player on that team. Harrison Barnes playing really well. You still have Andre Iguodala, very good defender and a really good offensive player. You have Andrew Bogut holding down the middle. Then you have the Brazilian blur off the bench, Leandro Barbosa. I mean, this team, they were incredible to watch every time I watched them. And Stephen Curry went crazy almost every time I watched him. So they were so fun to watch.
No, I agree with that.
And
That's a really good pick.
They played at such an incredible level.
And they were 20-0 to start the year, broke an NBA record. And that was, like I was saying, people were tuning in to see, is this, all right, Bucks are up by 15. Are they going to do it? Are they going to do
Exactly,
it?
yeah.
Nah, Steph comes back and hits a couple threes. Even
It
though
seemed
Bucks did
it
win.
seemed like Steph doing was something like stupid, just something you can't fathom every other game. And it was incredible.
I'm pretty sure the Pistons beat them that year, too.
They did.
Yeah, that was one
I
of their
remember
9
watching
losses.
the game, and
It was in Golden State, right?
It was here.
Was it in Detroit? Oh,
'Cause
you're right. Yeah, it was the Big Ben retirement night, right?
They blew out the Warriors, and I was
Yeah.
just confused watching
Yeah.
it.
It was the Big Ben
time.
retirement night. That's what it
Yeah.
was. And I remember then they lost to like Denver on Chauncey's retirement night, and I was like, "Are you kidding me?"
Yeah, that team was incredible.
Yeah, that 15-16 Pistons team. I know, pretty insane stuff. My number 4 team is the 2009-2010 Los Angeles Lakers. That's
The Meta World Peace team.
the Meta World Peace. That played a factor to me because I was going between the 08-09 Lakers or the 09-10. To me, it came down to the meta factor. Lakers won back-to-back. Kobe got his 5th ring, so what was it? One more than Shaq. And it was an epic 7-game series with Boston.
Oh yeah, great series.
Meta World Peace won that
Amazing.
game for them. But that was such a fantastic way to end the NBA season, and it left such a good taste in your mouth. It was just a fun team to watch for me.
I think that's one of the last times I've like really been excited for NBA basketball.
Yeah.
Like true excitement.
Now, see, to
like
me,
you want to tune into every single game.
yeah. Back to the Lakers, though. That Kobe Bryant, too, maybe the second most dominant Kobe. I still think 08-09 is the best Kobe Bryant we've seen.
Just overall basketball.
Just
player.
overall basketball
Okay.
player, basketball IQ, his success on the court, so on and so forth. I think this Kobe's right behind him. And then you can start the conversation from there. But that is my number 4 team.
I like it.
I got nothing from Joey. He just nods and looks.
I'm not a Lakers fan. That's
I'm
all
not-
it comes down to.
You gotta respect the
You don't
team, though,
you're a
how
Kobe
good
Bryant
they were.
fan?
No, I just
You're
like
a Kobe.
Yeah, I like Kobe.
Most of my reasoning was Kobe.
I just don't like the Lakers.
All right, Joe.
They're
You
the
didn't
big-
bring up any other part of the team. I expected you to bring up young Pau Gasol,
Seriously.
Lamar.
Shannon
It's a
Brown.
really good team. Shannon bouncing out of the gym. He was like Larry Nance before Larry Nance. Shannon
he's
would just
better.
Shannon would just come in, make a 3 and dunk, and everybody would go crazy.
Much more exciting than Larry Nance.
Oh
Much
my
more.
goodness.
Much more.
Shannon doesn't have as many posters as Larry. People chanted Larry's name every time he came in the game in LA.
That's because they're confused.
All
They're
right, Joe.
confused.
Number
What's
3.
your number 3, Joey? Huh?
My number
I'm
3
excited for this one.
is we're starting to get to the point where you could kind of feel that the Pistons were slowly tailing off, and you start looking for other teams. Start looking around. What's exciting? Well, this one year, unfortunately, was a very exciting
Unfortunately?
year. Yeah, because it was only 1 year. The 06-07 Believe Warriors.
Well, the Pistons were not tailing off at that time, by the way.
They were tailing off a little bit.
They
You
were
could
still
feel
a
it.
really
They
good
went to the
team.
Western Conference
could
or the Eastern
feel-
Conference Finals.
I know, but I'm just saying.
At the time of the We Believe Warriors, they were not
I don't think in
tailing off.
06,
That-
07.
I do not
I don't
agree
think-
with
I
that.
don't think yet.
Okay.
07, 08, maybe I'd give it to you. I don't even think I would, but maybe I'd give it to you. But yeah, the We Believe Warriors, good pick. Solid pick. Baron
Honestly,
Davis.
I expected one of us to pick that team.
I almost did, but they just missed a cut for me.
The big reason is because this is where I like kind of started to really follow Monte Ellis. He became one of my favorite players from this team, and then everywhere that he went. Jason Richardson was on this team, which, like I said before, he had been. We had watched him in the 2003-2004 dunk contest.
He's becoming more of a complete player around this time.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed his play. And then they made a big move in the midseason where they traded for Steven Jackson and Al Harrington, giving up
Oh yeah,
Ike Diogu, Troy Murphy, and Mike Dunleavy.
they give up nothing.
That's a steal.
Yeah, well,
a
I don't know.
great move.
Diogu looked pretty good for a little while, and Troy
Troy
Murphy
Murphy
was
is-
kind of their
Oh, yeah,
staple
Troy Murphy
for a while.
was a solid player. Yeah.
But yeah, Steven Jackson actually really turned this team around. He had some big games
Yeah.
going down the stretch, and
Matt
Barron-
Barnes was for that team too.
yeah,
People forget how clutch Steven Jackson used to
and
be.
Kalena Azubuike,
Yeah,
one of my favorites on this team as well. And they made an incredible 16-5 run at the end of the season to make it to the 8th seed in the playoffs. And then when they got to the 8th seed in the playoffs, they upset the number 1 Mavericks.
the 69-13 Mavs.
Yeah, and this team was just incredible.
And-
They're fun to watch.
At that time, for me as a fan, that was the best team I've ever watched. That the 06-07 Mavericks, when they won 69 games, that was the most wins I've ever seen a team win. And I remember watching that series like, what is happening right now?
Hmm
It was absolutely insane. And
that Baron Davis dunk
yeah,
on Karolinko is a top 20 moment in NBA playoff history.
I agree with that. I remember the NBA.
It is.
NBA.com used to do this thing where you can make like your top 5 greatest playoff moments, and I used to do that all the time. Like you could make your own little mix, like insert clip here, insert playoff clip here. It was just such a cool thing. Malik, who you got at number 3?
My number 3 is a team that I believe was robbed. And I'm surprised there wasn't more of a scandal because this team should
I know who
should
you're
have a
talking about.
championship and don't because of several things, but the 01-02 Sacramento Kings.
Great pick.
This team, I almost picked the 99 Kings because of Jason Williams, but I had to pick the better overall team. And this team, with Mike Bibby at the point, Doug Christie at the 2, who was a pretty good player at his time, kind of underrated, Peja Stojakovic, who was one of my favorite players ever, Chris Webber, who was going to be a Hall of Famer soon and was among one of the best power forwards in the league at the time, and Vlade Divac at the 5, who was one of the best passing big men of the past 20 years maybe.
Now, I don't want to say the NBA was rigged at that time. I definitely don't think it is right now.
Oh, yeah.
But at the
I don't
time-
believe in all the rigged conspiracies that people come up with.
Especially
But
nowadays.
when you look at that series and the clips that people have put together,
I'm going to tell you something,
there's
Malik.
some shady.
I'm going to tell you,
It's
Malik.
beyond shady.
The fix was in. The fix was
Yeah.
in that
It's
year.
Every single game, there are certain calls and just certain things that
Just
should-
like-
yeah.
Just like the fix was in what was it, 1988, the phantom foul on Bill Laimbeer against Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. There is no call there. There's no foul there.
Yeah, this team, the way they played together, it was amazing to see. Peja Stojakovic, along with being one of the best three-point shooters of our time, was also a great passer. Mike Bibby was a really good shooter and a great passer. Chris Webber was one of the most talented players in the league at that time, let alone the power forward position. For 1 through 5, you had guys that, along with being talented offensive players, were also very talented moving around the ball. And watching them play, this team, they went 61-21 and were first in the Pacific Division that year. And it's just an enjoyable team to watch all around.
Yeah.
I mean, the Sacramento fan base, I feel sorry for them because they are a really good fan base when they have a good team.
And they've been
And
just
Sacramento used to be really just really great.
and
because of
now
that team.
and now we're stuck with Vivek Ranadive.
We don't need to talk about it. They have some young promising guys, but I don't know if they'll ever get close to what
They're not
they
going
had
to
back
contend
then.
for a long, long time, which is very unfortunate.
Yeah.
But that's Malik. I gotta say, you got one heck of a list going right now. My number 3, nowhere near Malik's nostalgia picks. I got the 14-15 Golden State Warriors. That first year when Golden State started their dynasty, that first championship.
I also thought about this team.
I picked this team for the reason that this was their coming out party with the group that they drafted. There was no Kevin Durant. There's no added guys in free agency outside of Andre Iguodala, who was at the time he wasn't the biggest acquisition, that team was still led by Steph, still led by Clay, Draymond, all that. Yeah, Iggy won the Finals MVP, but he wasn't the reason they got there. To me, they beat Cleveland in the finals. That plays a role to me whenever I see Cleveland lose. And they're just an easy team to like, you know? Like you said in your point with the 15-16 Warriors. The style of play that they run, it's so fun to watch. Just the run and cut, catch and shoot. It's so free-flowing. It's so fluid that it's such an easy game to watch, and it shows you what it was just a fun team to watch.
That's the year Steph really started to become
Because
a player that people didn't want to mess with.
he was MVP
Because
that year.
in those finals, the way he played with Dellavedova, who they tried to call the Curry stopper,
Yeah.
man, he was just dancing on everybody, and his level of shot making through the roof. It really was.
No, it definitely
And Andre
was.
Iguodala as the Finals MVP, so underrated as a player.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of, Kawhi Leonard won the MVP with the Spurs, but it's just that defensive-minded forward. And it was just cool to see Iggy get the award because you really don't see role players win that. All right, Joey. Top 2. Number 2.
All right. So number 2, probably my favorite. One of my, I guess the 2010-11 Mavs fall into this category, but one of my favorite teams in the last
Quick
10
segue
years.
here. Sorry, I'm going to cut you off completely.
Oh my gosh.
Steph Curry was unanimous MVP in 14-15.
I thought it was 15, 16.
It's okay.
Okay.
Views from the sideline, where we get the facts straight.
I had to make sure the people
Everybody
got it right.
slips. Yeah.
No, it's all good. I just
Yeah.
wanted to.
I was in the vicinity.
No, you're good. All right, Jerry. Sorry. Start again.
So in this terrible era of basketball known as the sad boys on this program, you got to look out for different storylines, different teams. And one of the biggest storylines in the last 10 years was on this team. The 11-12 New York Knicks.
This is your number
Number
2 team?
Number 2.
What?
Yep.
So your two
Wow.
two of your top 6 favorite teams of all time come from the 2011-2012 season.
Yep. I had to figure out how to enjoy basketball without the Pistons.
Your number 2 team is the one really good Knicks team in like the past 15 years.
Exactly.
And they still lost in the second round.
Lynn Sanity was
No, was it?
yes. Yes.
Joey.
Oh,
Yes.
12-13 was the 54 win. Okay.
Wait. Was 12-13?
So
the
11-12 was Linsanity.
Yeah.
Wait.
Wow, you picked the Linsanity.
You picked the one that
team.
didn't make it to the second round of the
Yeah.
playoffs?
Wow.
Lynn Sanity year.
He picked the Linsanity.
You picked the worst of the New York Knicks teams.
the worst.
What? Worst?
One of the worst.
What do you mean the worst?
Jeremy played like 20 games and was injured the rest of the year. He like messed up something in his knee. He only played 20
That
games. Yeah, it was
stretch of
fun.
basketball gave New York fans
It was
hope
20
for the
games.
first time. And
They shut ESPN up about the Heat for like
Getting back to the Heat.
For like
my
2 months.
I don't know why I'm defending him, but
Yeah, I don't
I love
know.
Jeremy Lin so much I have to defend him.
this team was fun
Have
to
to.
watch. Carmelo, Jeremy Lin. Carmelo
They
went
were.
down.
Yeah, Carmelo went down, and that's when Jeremy Lin came up.
Well,
and then Jeremy
he
went
came
down.
up with Carmelo, but then when Carmelo went down, then he
That was
really
Jeremy's team
rose.
for that stretch.
They had J.R. Smith, Amon Shumpert.
But when it mattered, playoff time, Jeremy was injured, so it meant nothing in the end.
and you're going to talk about the 15-16 Pistons.
All right.
Failed in the
Gotcha.
playoffs.
Touche.
Like, come on, man.
This
Touche.
team also has they have so many pieces that are just question marks to me. Young Iman Shumpert, that year, he gave me so much. I thought he could be
Yeah.
an all-star player off of that
Him
year.
and JR were just dunking on people.
And then
all the time.
Landry Fields.
Yeah, I was gonna say Landry Fields. What happened to that?
He
dude?
played so good that year.
What happened to
He
that?
goes to the
dude?
Raptors, gone.
Steve Novak.
Oh
The
yeah,
belt.
yeah.
Steve
belt.
Novak.
Discount double check.
I mean,
That team is weird, man. Jared Jeffries. That team is weird.
I didn't like Jared Jeffries.
I didn't
didn't-
either.
Who really did?
But
Yeah.
If you weren't an Indiana fan.
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. But they were just fun to watch. It was an exciting storyline
Number
in the
2,
dog
though,
days of the NBA for me.
over the Dallas Mavericks, the 10-11 Dallas Mavericks.
I mean, that's a big surprise.
I'm just
That's
going with
a
the
surprise to
storyline.
me.
Yeah, that's one of the weirdest.
Yeah,
two-
but the storyline to me is better that Dirk led a team that didn't
True.
expect to win a championship again to beat your most hated nemesis, LeBron James.
Listen, that is a great storyline, but if somebody told you there would be a 2-week stretch of this, I'm sorry to bring it into it, but people brought that factor into it. A 2-week stretch of this Asian point guard from Harvard
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
just comes out of nowhere for the New York Knicks and starts lighting teams up
Yeah.
Go watch the Linsanity
And-
documentary.
and just leads New York to the playoffs with Carmelo. Would you believe that story if it never happened?
It was fun. It was a fun time
It
to
sounds
watch.
like, it sounds like a movie storyline. That might be made into a movie one day.
No, they already have a movie.
I mean, like they might get somebody to play him.
Oh.
And,
Because-
like, right as-
And another thing too is like
It's a
the
crazy
2010, 2011 Mavericks, the finals was incredible. But like throughout the season, you never really heard about the Mavs, and I'll say it, I didn't pay attention to them necessarily. You watch them in the playoffs because that's when they're on television. The Knicks were plastered all over the place for a good while, and this was a time where I just couldn't even watch the NBA because it was just boring. The Pistons were terrible. Everybody's talking about the Heat this, the Heat that. And I needed something exciting to like revitalize my NBA
it
spirit.
Right.
definitely recharged the excitement.
And then just, I don't know, Jeremy Lin was
Yeah.
insane. The game winner in Toronto or
Listen,
against
yeah,
Toronto,
it's cool highlights.
That
Not number
those
2
30
all-time
those
highlight.
36 points he put on the Lakers in the Garden,
That was
38.
cool.
38
Yeah.
on a Sunday afternoon on ABC.
It was a fun game.
Come on, man.
Not number 2
Against-
all time.
Kobe's team? The Lakers?
Man, that was a really
That was a
great
fun
stretch.
game.
Hey, this list was really hard for me, so don't even take these in a real order, maybe.
Yeah, I can't be mad.
I have to.
These are just fun
No,
teams.
I have to. take it
Hashtag the
real.
Knicks should have paid Jeremy Lin.
Yo, Jeremy Lin got paid
Yeah.
for that 20 game
I wish
stretch.
nobody paid him like that because if he stayed as a backup for the rest of his career,
Why do you?
He would've been
No,
really
get
good.
your money,
He's a
Jeremy.
really-
Yeah, get
Get your
his.
money.
I'm happy he got the
Get
money.
your money.
Go get
but
his.
Stop hating on the
I think
player,
he-
Malik.
He was
No,
one of the best high
no.
school-
I wish he had a. I
He
wish
was one of the best high school players in California,
He was.
and he
He
had
was
to
player
go
of the
to
year.
Harvard.
Yeah.
That's sad.
All right, Malik. Number 2. He had to wait. It's sad that he had to go to Harvard. Did you just say?
Yeah, because all
No,
these other guys
no.
are getting more attention than him.
You know what he means.
I know.
yeah.
He still got a degree from Harvard.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying, like,
Don't still feel bad for
he
the
was
boy.
a better player
I
than
know,
that.
but
He got to
to
light
get
up
education
UConn
from
as a
Harvard, still
player.
play. Yeah, you still had the experience. All right, Malik, you're number 2.
My number 2 team. If I didn't include my number 1, this would have been my number 1. The 2008-2009 Los Angeles Lakers. The team that got over the hump of 07 losing to the Celtics and beat the Magic the next year.
No, 08 losing to the Celtics.
07-08 was when they lost to the Celtics.
Yeah, okay. I thought you
Yeah.
said 07. My bad.
08-09, they come back with my love of Kobe Bryant.
Is Kobe your favorite
At
player
this
of all
time,
time?
yes. Around this time, 07-08 was when I really started becoming a Kobe fan. 08-09 was what cemented it. Kobe was my favorite player ever, and I was a full time Lakers fan at this time.
Do you
The
remember?
Lakers were my team.
Oh yeah, that was before Brooklyn. But do you remember I think it was the 2009-2010 season when they went back to back again. No, it may have been 07-08 because they met in the finals against Boston in 08, right? When Kobe just pulled like a 35-foot three, nothing but net.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Man.
This is-
And I remember I
this
thought
is
that was a
Mamba.
deep shot.
This is Mamba we're talking about. I mean, like you said, at this time, his level, his IQ level, and the way he approached the game, it was totally different from the way anybody else was looking at basketball. He was just completely different.
No.
Then you have Pau Gasol in his prime,
Andrew
who-
Bynum.
who was ridiculous. Andrew Bynum when he still cared,
Yeah.
which was good to watch. Derek Fisher, who was a really good leader and hit a lot of clutch shots in that 2-year period. Really good knockdown
They
three-point
still
shooter.
had Sasha Vujacic, I think, back then, too.
Still had Sasha Vujacic coming off the bench, knocking down 3-point shots. You had young, athletic Trevor Ariza,
Oh, yeah.
which a lot of people forget how bouncy Trevor used to be, along with becoming the 3-and-D guy now,
Yeah.
guy he is now. I mean, like you said, Sasha Vujacic, Shannon Brown, Jordan Farmar was on that team.
Oh, yeah.
Lamar Odom.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about Lamar.
Yeah.
That's a big one, too.
I just loved this team so much in
That's a
the way
good
they
team.
played together. And Kobe, that number 24, especially at that time. I love him so much as a player and that team.
Yeah, it definitely plays a role. Kind of your favorite players at that time plays a huge role in who you're deciding as your favorite
And
teams.
I wish they would have went against the Cavs because that
would've been
Kobe
fun.
versus LeBron would have been
It
great.
would have been fun.
But they just went ahead and dismantled the Magic.
Yeah. All right. So this team, my number 2, I like to direct it right towards Joey.
Hate it.
Perfect.
This
That
is for
wasn't
you,
what I
Mr.
meant.
Tissick.
I meant to do this, but it's the 2011-2012 Miami Heat, the Heatles.
All right, I'll see you guys later.
Bye, Joe.
First of all, great use of the soundboard.
Yeah, I know, right?
We're on point today.
I know, really.
This is a great
I'm all
show.
over the place.
You said the 11-12?
The 11-12 Heat, the first year
Team
LeBron
that
got
beat
his
the-
championship. The OKC
I
Thunder
cheered so hard for that team.
for the Heat. Well, here's my reasoning.
Joey, I cheered so hard for that team.
Here's my
man.
reasoning. All right. So
I
LeBron
wanted
won,
LeBron to get that ring. So
he
bad.
won he won regular season MVP that year. Then he won Finals MVP back to back.
Oh, that Miami LeBron is the most dominant LeBron.
And I think
To me.
2011-2012 was his most dominant year as a player. And that's in my opinion. I mean, they beat up on the up-and-coming OKC team at that time. At that time, we thought that team was going to be around forever with Harden, Russell, KD, Serge. And that was a fun team to watch, too, to have that matchup with the young stars against the old veteran stars.
Everybody thought that their time was about to come, the Thunder.
Yeah, we thought we would see them in the finals year in and year out, kind of like Golden
Yeah.
State, right? And that was the lockout season, too. So that played a factor, too, because
I forgot that was the
forgot-
lockout season.
I didn't think we were going to have basketball that year. And then to have basketball start on Christmas Day, and it was just really, it was like a full throttle finish all the way to the end. It was go, 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 go from Christmas Day all the way to like June 18th or whatever it ended up being. And the Heat were only 46-20 that year, too. So, Joey, I just want to gauge your opinion. What are you thinking right now? What do you think of my pick here? My number 2 favorite team of all time.
You know, you can have whatever your favorite can be whatever you want.
That's what I get out of it. I wanted
Yep,
some.
I-
I wanted some hate, man.
I
How,
mean,
listen, how did you feel at the time about how hard every analyst, every sports channel, every sports radio show, how everybody was saying if LeBron doesn't win this title, his legacy will
Joey was
go down a
cheering,
notch.
oh yeah, I was loving
At the
it.
time,
I was hoping he would lose every single time,
just like Jerry West.
started thinking,
just
like-
because of how hard everybody was coming at him.
especially after
I just
losing to
wanted
the Mavs.
I wanted him to shut everybody
Yeah,
up.
same.
Especially after losing to the Mavs, I was like, wow, they could actually lose every time they make it to the finals. They're not going to lose one,
You really-
not two,
You really
not
thought
three.
they'd lose every time.
I was just
Come
hoping.
on.
I didn't think they would, but I was hoping.
All right, Joey. I feel like this is going to be a straight sweep for our number 1 favorite teams. What's your number 1 favorite team, Joe?
Well,
If he says it, we should all just talk about
Yeah.
it right
yeah,
now.
let's just talk about it. But I have another. I picked another number
You have a
one
1B.
because I knew this would happen.
All right, let's talk about the team we're not expecting for your number 1 first, and so then we'll get into
Okay.
everyone's number 1.
So my
1B.
yeah, pretty much. Another team in the Western Conference that I was trying to figure out, if the Pistons ever fall off, who do I go for? Or if the Pistons stay good, that I can stay in the Western Conference so they don't really have to meet. And my favorite team is the 07-08 Hornets.
Really?
Yep.
That's your 1B.
They lost in the second round to the Spurs,
Mavericks
which is unfortunate.
back.
But
At least that
Wow.
pushes Orlando off the list.
Chris Paul, another one of my favorite.
Let me guess, Mo Peterson put it over the edge.
Hey,
That was the year Mo P
He's a
had
factor.
that like Hail Mary shot too, right?
Chris Paul, David West, Tyson Chandler, Peja, Morris
Mo
Peterson.
Peterson did that with the Raptors.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
did that too, but he had one.
was
Oh,
ano- it was
you're
another-
right.
He hit that one in Washington with the Raptors.
No,
Oh.
there's 2. He had 2 of them. I'm thinking of though.
The one when he was on the Raptors, was it the Wizards?
Yeah.
That threw the
They
ball
threw it
up
up
in
in
the
the
They
air.
threw it
Yeah,
straight up in the
Yeah.
air. He caught it, and they thought the game was over.
that was crazy.
But anyway, the Hornets,
Oh,
Chris
yeah,
Paul,
right,
David
okay.
West, Tyson Chandler, Peja, Mo Peterson, a young Birdman,
That will put it
backup
over the
point
edge.
guard Bobby Jackson,
Bobby.
And then
Bobby.
rest his soul, Rasul Butler.
That's crazy.
One of my favorite video game teams of all time.
I feel like video games plays like too big of a role in Joey's list here. Just slightly too big of
What
a
else
role.
am I going to do when the Pistons are almost trash?
I'm talking about like your
Now,
favorite teams
Are we
to watch.
talking like 2K8?
NBA
2K?
Live.
Okay,
wait.
Oh
NBA
my
Live.
God.
I was off of Live by then, so
I was still on it.
I think
for-
that was my,
Tyson
that was
Chandler
my
had
last year on
Tyson
live.
Chandler had one of the worst free throw releases in 2K history.
This was my
It was
last year.
so horrible.
But no, this team was fun to watch. This is where CP3 was really growing up as a player. And he pretty much led this team. David West was a big factor on this team, too.
Oh, he
And-
was really good.
I can't
and-
believe that dude's still playing.
Ring
I
chasing,
mean, he's got to
chasing
just,
rings.
he's been doing the same thing his entire career.
Yeah,
But Mo Peterson and Peja just chucking up threes, one of my favorite play styles. And then CP3 just, like I said, leading this team. It was a very balanced team, fun team to watch in the West. Kind of reminds me of like my Pelicans right now, you know?
People forget about how great Chris Paul is in terms of steals.
Mm-hmm.
I think they really don't talk about the fact that where's he ranked in steals? Because he broke the NBA record for steals in a season, and he led the league in like steals
He's
per
up
game
there.
for like 4 years.
Yeah, I might look that up. But no, this team was just fun to watch and kind of exciting. Like I said, this was the down where the Pistons started to kind of downturn. And
was this 07, 08?
Yeah.
in 06, 07, the Believe Warriors is when Ben Wallace left, so you could feel it. They still
still
did good. They still had like a 54 win season. I think in 07, 08,
And they
they,
were up
had
to-
59 wins still.
And they were up 2-0 in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah. But something fell off
Yeah.
in the playoffs.
Yeah, no, Ben.
But so yeah, this is my 1B. Like I said, I had a really hard time with this list, and like you guys said, like 2010, 11 Mavs probably should be higher, but I don't know. I just like the fun idea of the Hornets, Knicks, and Warriors. So with you guys choosing the Lakers and the Heat and the Warriors,
The Eagles, baby.
you know, Malik had some solid, the Kings and stuff.
Yeah, I
but,
knew Joe was going to not like my list.
you guys are just generic bandwagon picks. So, I had to
All your picks are
I
like
had to throw
within
some fun.
3 or 4 years.
I
man.
know.
had to throw some fun in. I told you, what am I going to do when the Pistons are bad?
All right,
Figure
all
out a
right.
different team.
Let's talk about everybody's favorite team of all time.
Come on now.
2003,
We know.
2004,
03, 04, yeah.
Detroit Pistons, the best five alive.
I wrapped all mine, all the championship teams for the Pistons as my favorites. Obviously, the 03-04 has a special
That's a
place.
cop out.
Obviously,
You can't do it. That's
but,
a cop out. You gotta pick-
that's
you gotta-
something you would have done.
I didn't though.
That's why Isaiah was on
I
your list,
didn't.
is because he won championships for the team.
Yeah, Isaiah's the greatest Piston of all time.
So I can't put his
But they go-
championship
but-
teams on my list.
You can, but it's a cop out. You can like,
You
acknowledge
could have
it.
done an individual
Or us-
team.
Or us picking the Pistons as a cop out.
That's true.
So
Touche, Joe.
I just threw them
Touche.
all in one bundle
Alright,
because I knew we were
alright,
going to
alright.
talk Pistons.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I'm done giving you a hard time. I've given you a hard time too much on the show.
I love it. I eat it up.
Don't ever stop giving him a hard time.
I'll
That's
eat
the
it up.
linchpin of the show.
I'll turn it right back.
Chris
bro.
versus Joey every episode.
Hey, you just have to be ready to be able to take it back. That's the
Um,
biggest thing.
But yeah, I mean, no true superstar. Latest Pistons championship. It was a group that, for the most part, I mean, outside of Ben Wallace leaving in 2006, stayed together until about 2008, 2009. I mean, that's the team. Darko got his ring, better than Melo. He's got a ring.
Mehmet Okur got that ring.
Mehmet was like a 6 man of the year
Yeah.
candidate that year.
He was really good off the bench.
Best defensive team of all time. Yes.
Yes.
And they took down the star-studded LA Lakers, led by Kobe, Shaq, not to mention guys like Gary Payton, Karl Malone. They added, they were at the tail end of their career, but at the time,
Carl
when they,
wasn't there, was he? Carl didn't play that series.
Yeah, he
This
did.
is-
Yeah, he did.
He played?
Yeah, he played.
Oh,
I
no,
thought
he
he
was
didn't
play.
injured. You're right. He was injured.
he was
yeah.
injured.
He was a non-factor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I remember going into that year, everybody was like, wow, this is like a super team,
Right.
And nobody was picking Detroit. I remember it was like, I forget the ESPN analyst's name, who did the preview show, and it's killing me right now. Mike Wilbon.
Yeah.
He was doing the preview show, and he had like Byron Scott on, and I couldn't remember who the other person
Yeah,
was.
nobody except maybe
Everyone was like-
Detroit papers.
they said
and
Lakers
Michigan
in 5.
papers. Yeah.
They said Lakers, and I'll give them 5. And I was like, and Pistons beat them in 5. Gentlemen's sweep. So yeah, I mean, I'll let you guys give your thoughts on that team too, but those are just my bullet points.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at the starting 5, it's such an amazing starting 5. You have Chauncey Billups, who was a journeyman, came into his own with the Pistons, and started to realize his talent and potential in Detroit. Became the leader that this team needed, and pretty much became a superstar in this city. Rip Hamilton, one of the most underrated shooters of all time, a guy who could run around for days, wide open shots around screens, all-time great free throw shooter. Tayshaun Prince, who was the glue piece to that starting 5. Rasheed, who was the most talented player in that starting 5 and the emotional leader. And then Ben Wallace, who was the best defensive player in the league at that time. I mean, the way they fit together perfectly. Joe Dumars doesn't get the credit that he deserves for putting that team together, because I don't know who else would have put together a team like that, because like we all know, nobody really, it took them years to be able to get into the finals, because going against like the Nets in the Eastern Conference Finals, it was a challenge for them to get past the Nets for a few years. So once they finally got past New Jersey, people were like, okay, they got past New Jersey, they can't take LA. Nobody expected that chemistry and the heart that team had to take over.
And to play back to your point about Joe Dumars putting together a team. Now, I know this will be up for debate, but his move of letting go Rick Carlisle for Larry Brown, ultimately, they won the championship that next year.
That's what pushed
now,
them
I know
on.
it's up for debate. You don't know what Rick would have done the next season, but that's another thing of Joe probably hitting the right button that, like you said, he deserves more credit for. Joe, any quick thoughts on that 03-04 team?
Man, I hope they make a documentary on this.
I think
at
they
some
will. I
point,
think it'll be like a 30 for 30.
because
There are a few like hour-long things about
Right.
it, but
And the thing is, like, these guys are still super close to this day. Like, they have a
Yep.
group chat they talk in every day.
they all hover back to the organization at some point.
Exactly.
and they're just you don't see a team like that anymore, where they're 5 guys that play great basketball. I mean, the Warriors are close. They're very similar, but this team was so locked down defense. Like I always say, that final game against the Pacers, 67-64. I don't think you'll ever see that again
You
in
won't.
an
You
NBA
won't.
game.
They
No
made
way.
they made the NBA change the rules of how you can play defense.
And nobody realizes like how tough it was to get past either the Pistons, Nets, or Pacers in that era. And the Pistons were always taking those guys on.
That's what, once they got past
Year
the
after
Pacers
year.
and the Nets, honestly, people should have realized they could beat anybody once they got past those teams.
Right.
But
Well, you listen to, like, I've listened to recent interviews with Reggie Miller, and he talks about the Mouse at the Palace kind of like ruining their season.